All right, the moment you have been waiting for. Welcome, Jane Levy. I need louder love from you guys. Hi.
Hi. Thank you to the 12 of you in here. I love you.
We're going to have great questions from the 12 of you, yeah?
Yes.
I know, it's coming. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. That video makes me feel really cool.
I mean, you are really cool, so it helps that you're already cool. Like, we don't have to try very hard for you. So, first of all, I want to thank you for coming. I know it's been a little bit of a hectic travel day for a lot of folks, so I appreciate you getting here and getting to spend time with us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. So I'm just going to get right to it, but before I do, if you have any questions, please start thinking about the questions you want to ask. We do have mics set up at either aisle, so if you have questions for Jane, I'm going to ask her a few and then we'll throw it to you guys, yeah? All right, so I wanted to ask, I was looking at your vast body of work, and you have done so many different genres and different types of projects. What is it about a script that makes you say yes? Does it have to have something in particular that makes you say, yes, I want to do that?
I'm not sure that there's an exact formula that I could point to, but it's a combination of the character, the director, and the experience I would have making the thing. And not the experience like, I want to go to Florida to shoot this, but more like, as an artist, is this something I've never done before? Is this something I've always wanted to explore in acting? And it's like an instinctual feeling when you read the script.
Is that something that's evolved for you over the years? Or
for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think, where you are in your life personally bleeds into your life professionally. I'm a mom. I have a 1-year-old. Now, whatever I choose to do is definitely dictated by what's best for my family. It's always changing. But artistically, I don't know how to explain what the impulse is when I read something that I go, oh, that's something I want to do. I do think I have like a perverse sense of humor, and I read Evil Dead in particular, which was my first entry into horror. I thought it was hilarious, and then when I was shooting it, I thought it was less funny. And then afterward, I guess I still think it's kind of funny, but also like badass. Horror, I think I'm just a fan. I don't, I've spent a lot of time thinking about why, and I'm also curious about horror fans, if they have answers, what makes the love of horror so strong and rich. And I think there's a lot of different ways to answer that question, but I love watching horror films and I love making them. I just wrapped a horror film in August, and it was my first one since Don't Breathe, and I'm really excited.
Can you tell us anything about that film?
I can't, but it's going to be announced, I think, next week, so it'll be on the internet next week, but I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it yet.
So, being a horror fan, did your relationship with horror change from prior to your entry into horror as an actor versus being a fan until after?
Good question. I don't know. As an actor, I feel like in any profession, you're sort of highly critical of other people. Like if you're a dancer and you watch a dance on film, you're like, or if you're an actor, you watch actors and you're highly critical. But with horror, I actually I allow myself to just enjoy it and not be so critical. I think that's part of what I love about horror film is just the entertainment factor, and like it's an exercise in the extreme, and you get to see actors go bananas and directors stretch themselves, and I actually am happy that my horror taste hasn't become like pretentious or refined. Actually, I think that that's the antithesis of horror films, and I'm veering way off course right now, but I feel like part of what makes horror so great is the like anti-establishment, outsider punk vibe, and sometimes when horror is becoming too mainstream recently, that's a little bit like, I don't know if we need like the biggest movie star on earth like being in a horror film. Like I like the more bootstraps punk rock version of horror myself.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm kind of in that crowd too. So you have often played characters, whether it's horror or another genre, that go through an intense transformation, emotional, psychological. What was the hardest role to play those emotional and psychological transformations, whether it's horror or another genre?
I think Evil Dead,
Yeah.
partially because I was so young and I didn't really understand how to calibrate yourself and how to not, I thought you had to give 120% every second, and that lends itself to a performance I'm proud of, but there is a way to get that performance where you're not exhausting yourself so much. You learn where you have to push yourself past your limits and where you don't have to, and I didn't know that yet when I was making that movie.
So you went a little harder than you probably should have?
Yeah, at the same time, it's a ridiculous thing that they asked me to do. I cut my tongue in half, I get raped by a tree, I rip my own arm off, did I say I cut my tongue in half? Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I become the devil, I get buried alive,
Through a lot.
Yeah, I'm recovering from heroin addiction. Yeah.
Do we have anyone that has any questions for Jane? No? Not yet? You guys are too shy. You guys are too shy right now. That's okay. So we did talk a little bit about how your feelings about horror have evolved versus being a fan versus being an actor. But how has being a horror actor changed your relationship with fear in real life, particularly as it relates to being a parent? Because in my experience as a parent, fear changes dramatically once you have a kid. It's a whole different type of fear. So has your relationship with fear changed?
That's a really good question, and I wish my answer was like, yeah, I'm just so brave. But I feel like I still, yes, parenthood is a totally different level and a different kind of fear. But I think that that's what's interesting about Final Girls. A lot of Final Girls are mothers. The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby. I feel like that is a big theme in horror films, and like the strength of a mother. Because mothers rule and mothers are the most strong. But I'm not sure it makes me less afraid or if my relationship with fear has changed. I will say that if in real life somebody came at me, I feel bad for them because I would go crazy.
Yeah, you feel more equipped to handle something like that?
I might just have that in me since I was born, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, for the roles that you played in Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, how did you emotionally prepare to go? I know you were much younger when you first started with Evil Dead, and you just talked about how you approached that role. But how did you emotionally prepare for to have to go to such dark places?
I don't remember exactly, but I find the anticipatory performance stress lends itself to like a high octane, adrenaline fueled performance. The act of having to like perform on action, I liken it to being an athlete, and like you're revving your engine before you start shooting anyways, because you're like scared about, being able to do a good job. And I'm not sure there was like that much emotional preparation other than my preparation as an actor in the role, being like, these are the things your character has to go through. What would that mean for you, Jane, if you had to go through that? What would it mean if you weren't Jane and you were actually this person? And, all of the normal actor prep.
Yeah. So do you think that you approach a role like Rocky in Don't Breathe differently because there's large portions of that where there's very little dialogue, if any at all? Do you approach that differently than you do with a role that has a lot more dialogue?
No.
No? Just the same actor?
Yeah.
So as far as you had mentioned in a previous, I don't know if it was a panel or an interview, but I did hear that you had mentioned that you maybe didn't want to do final girl stuff so much anymore because you didn't realize how much it took
Yeah.
to be a final girl. Has that changed at all?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was really burned out after Don't Breathe. I had a hard time recovering psychologically from Evil Dead and then Don't Breathe. And then it's been a while and I missed it. And like I said, I shot Castle Rock and I believe I've shot like horror adjacent, but I haven't done like a straight up horror. Like the movie I just wrapped was a slasher, like a straight up body count slasher. And I just had such a good time. But I think I just, again, knew how to do it in a way that didn't emotionally or psychologically like break me or exhaust me.
So let's talk. We're gonna go off horror a little bit. I know this is a horror convention, but how many Zoe's fans do we have here? Talk to us a little bit about Zoe. I mean, I know you guys were probably heartbroken when we didn't get any more seasons. Talk to us about how that project began, what your experience was. Tell us what you can tell us.
That's so sweet. I love that show too, and I love my Zoe's fans so much. I think that if you're a Zoe's fan, you have a big heart. I can tell every time someone comes up to me and tells me that they watch Zoe's. They're the warmest people, and we appreciate you. I honestly feel like I was really lucky that project came my way. Of course, it was based off of my resume, but at the same time, I can't even believe that they hired me not knowing that I could pull off singing and dancing. Like, I didn't audition for it, they just offered that to me. It was such a fun experience. It was also, like horror, very physical, because we were dancing and there was choreography, and not just choreography in the dance moves, but you're choreographing it with the camera. And that show was instrumental for me as an artist. I feel like it really connected me to my audience, because a lot of people who love that show talked to me about their grief, and I just feel like there was like a special cosmic like hand holding between the cast and the people who made that show and the audience. And long live Zoe.
Yeah, really. Do you think that we'll be able to see you in a project like that again soon?
Sure. I mean, there's no Zoe's talks, but I would do that if they wanted to bring Zoe back, but there's no rumblings about that at the moment. I would do a musical again for sure.
I feel like we need a horror version. Evil Dead the musical.
That's a good idea. Is there such thing?
There is. There is an Evil Dead.
Oh, there's like a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure.
So I feel like we need to have an amalgamation of Zoe and the Evil Dead musical starring you.
Your mouth to...
Send it out to the horror/musical gods.
Well...
So let's go back to horror a little bit. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about horror actors?
That they're like cheesy B level actors, I guess.
Yeah.
And now look at all these motherfuckers coming into horror. Josh Brolin. No, I'm just kidding. I love Josh Brolin. I'm like huge fan. But I'm just like, all of a sudden these huge stars are doing it. And I'm like, yeah, because there's great roles, there's great themes, there's great storytelling in horror.
And horror doesn't... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just like laughing because I love Josh Brolin. It's the stupidest person to point fingers at.
No, but you're right. It doesn't get the
prestige,
the prestige that it should.
Yeah, I mean it's changing.
It is. I feel like it's getting to a point where now people are like horror roles are coveted now, and it's becoming more. I don't want to say mainstream.
It is
more accepted by the masses that probably poo-pooed horror and looked at it like you just said, like cheesy B actors, but.
Yeah.
Getting its respect, so that's good. And honestly, I think that you're part of that, because Evil Dead, while it was, somewhat of a reboot of the franchise, it now has become something that's got its own place in the franchise itself and in horror and in what you would, I guess, call legit film.
Well, thank you, and thank you to the fans.
I think that you helped that along. So, how do you decompress after an insane shoot like what you experienced with Evil Dead?
Sleep, therapy, alcohol, friendship, family. Just like, it sounds goofy, but it is. I don't understand actors who are like, I just go home and I'm Jane again. Like, it's not, even if you're not a method person, your body doesn't know what's real and what isn't, and you need to remember, like, a lot of times you're shooting on location, so you're not sleeping in your own bed, you're not waking up next to your partner, you're not getting coffee at your local coffee place. You forget that you are this person with this whole other life outside of this thing. At least I do. Not like completely, but you just have to go back into your life for like a couple weeks, and then you like let go of some of that like adrenaline. Yeah.
Have you ever had a role that has stuck with you even after you've done your decompression rituals that just kind of won't?
No, I've never been possessed for a long time.
Well, that's good. I feel like that's a good thing that didn't happen to you.
Yeah.
Are there any roles or in any genre or parts in a specific franchise that you're dying to play? Whether it's horror or another genre.
I feel like I should have an answer for that, because I feel like on stage with a microphone in my hand, that's like where you manifest things. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, at Spooky Empire on Halloween in 2025, you can hear me saying. But I feel like I'm not versed enough in. I mean, I love Alien. I love the Alien franchise. I would love to be in that. Do you have any ideas?
I feel like we need to see you in an upcoming, I know Scream 7 is already done wrapped filming, but I would love to see you in a Scream film.
You know, they asked me to be the opening kill in Scream 6, and I didn't do it, and I regret it. So, Scream, ask me again.
Ask again. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Have you ever regretted not taking a role?
Yes.
Is that your biggest regret as an actor?
It's not my biggest regret, but I definitely regret that.
Yeah.
Are there any? Yes, there are others, but that's the one I can think of right now.
So as a fan.
Oh, I didn't do Smile. I was asked to do Smile, but actually the reason I didn't do it is because I had another job, but the other job fell through and I couldn't go back to Smile, and I regretted that.
So we might get a 3.
Sure.
Could happen. Any questions yet? I don't know, I can't see. The lights are...
I see a hand.
A hand? Is that a hand?
Right by the camera.
There we go. Go ahead and come on over to the mic. Is the mic there? I can't even see. There's one right there.
Well, there's more than 12. There's like 18.
How much did you get to work behind the scenes with Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi? And also, what scene are you most proud of in Evil Dead?
I didn't get to work that much with Bruce and Sam. However, since I've started coming to these conventions, I've spent more time with them because Mike Estes, my great agent, who's right over there, he represents Bruce and Sam, and so I've gone to some conventions with them, and I really love them, and this is what I'm manifesting. A Sam Raimi directed Evil Dead with Mia and Ash. That would be a dream of mine. But they weren't really that creatively involved with the Evil Dead, at least with the actors. They were maybe more involved with Fede, the director, and Rob, the producer. The scene that I'm most proud of, oddly, might be where I'm about to be buried alive and I have the plastic bag over my face. I, was in prosthetics. They had an oxygen tube behind my ear so that I could breathe better with a plastic bag around my head, and then they also actually buried me alive. But all of that physicality aside, which is like insane, I just find myself totally maniacal and like really creepy in that scene, and I again have like a little bit of perverse sense of humor about it. I find it to be funny.
Thank you for your question. Do we have any other questions? No, that's good, because I have more. More for me. So my next question is, speaking of Evil Dead, I mean, Mia and Jane went through it. Was there ever a moment while you were filming that you were like, what did I get myself into?
100,000,000%, like every single night. There was, like, the blood rain sequence took 2 weeks of shooting, and it was just me, because there's no other actors except for the creature actor who they digitally put my face on his face. But it was like blood rain, night shoots, winter, outside, at the end of like this really long shoot. And I would actually say to myself, you know, before action, they'd pour like a thing of water over my head, so I was drenching before we even started. And I would just say, you're not gonna die, you're not gonna die, you're not gonna die, you're not gonna, like I was literally having to say to my body, because it was like, I was so spent. What was the question?
If there were ever any moments that you were wondering what you got yourself into.
Yeah, the whole time. I mean, that's not true. At the very beginning, I was like, this is so awesome. And then by the end, I was like, I've lost my mind. I am so confused. But, you know, I survived. There's worse things than starring in a movie.
So being in such a diverse body of work, do you have a particular project that maybe is a lesser known project that you're especially proud of that you want fans to check out?
For sure. There's a movie out right now on your streaming. It might still be in theaters, but it's in not that many screens in the United States. It's called A Little Prayer, and it went to Sundance 2 or 3 years ago. It came out this year. I'm maybe the most proud of this out of anything I've ever made, so check it out.
We will check that out. And I want to ask you, being in horror and comedy and musicals and all the other genres that you've worked in, is there anything that you've learned about yourself during this process of doing such diverse work?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of anxiety. I might not come across that way, but I have a lot of anxiety and a big voice in my head that constantly like tells me that I'm not going to be able to do it, or that I need to pump the brakes, or like, who do you think you are for wanting to do these things? And that voice comes up before every project, and then every project I finish, I think, wow, I actually can do these things. And I guess I would encourage you, if you too have those fears and that voice in your head, to know that it's just a voice, and that voice is confused and it thinks it's protecting you, but it's not. And the best way to combat it is to do the things that you're afraid of.
Yep, and tell the voice it's a big fat liar.
Yeah.
Yep, it's important to do that.
Or you can thank the voice and be like, you're thank you, I understand you're trying to protect me, but you're a liar.
Yeah, but shut up. It's my turn.
Yeah.
So you've worked in independent films, in studio films. Do you have a preference?
I mean, it's nice to have that money. Sometimes you're like, I don't mean like in my pocket, I mean like when you show up to work and like it's not like so, everyone's not like, we need to get this because we only, when there's more money, it doesn't often mean it's creatively like better, like the product is better, but it does take away some of the like, we gotta go. And sometimes that lends itself to amazing work because you just have to like fling yourself, but it's nice to have time. Money is time in the movie business. Maybe money is time in all industries, but it's definitely more comfortable when you have more of a budget.
And is there, besides, the production value, is there a difference in the structure of it when it comes to filming that you prefer?
I mean, on independent films, there's usually less cooks in the kitchen, as they say, and so there's a lot more freedom because there's a lot less like riding on it, because they're not so anxious about this thing as a product and it actually has to make us money because we spent so much money. If less money is spent, they're less freaked out about every little thing, and the creatives get to be freer.
That's cool. Suits aren't
Correct.
Control things. So do you think that horror allows you to explore more of an emotional range than other genres do?
I think generally, yes. Obviously that there are exceptions to that, but I do think that horror is, like I said before, it's like an exercise in the extreme. You get to do all sorts of things, and it's fun. You have really pretty eyes.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you.
Jane Levy said I was pretty. How are we doing on time? We're good on time? All right, good. Anybody have questions? I don't want to leave you guys out if you have a question. You guys are so shy. That's okay, I got more questions for her. So tell us, what's next for you? I know you just said you wrapped a horror film, but what do you have coming down the pike after that?
I'm actually on Sunday, I have to leave a little early to go to New York because I'm starting to shoot a TV show this week in New York. It's an independently financed TV show, so I don't know where it's going to land, but it's sci-fi. And then I'm shooting something in the spring that I cannot talk about. And
can you tell us anything? Genre? Nothing. Mysterious.
Nope. And I'm really, really excited about it. And, you know, like I'm a mom, I'm hustling, gotta make that money to pay for childcare. So if you're hiring, I'm free.
Yeah, we know how that works, right? It's not fun. So is there an actor that you've worked with that maybe mentored you, that you feel like you take things that they taught you and told you about the process or anything that you kind of carry with you? Actor, director, anyone that you've mentored that's mentored you in the industry, that you've carried those lessons with you to other projects?
No, and while you're saying that, I'm like, I wish I had that. That would be so awesome to have like a godfather, godmother figure.
Right?
I don't. I mean, in terms of conventions, Bruce is the reason I'm here. He told me years ago, like, Jane, you should come to horror conventions. And I was like, no, I'm too shy. And then, I don't know what it was, a couple years ago, I called him and I said, I think I want to do that. So all of this is because of him. And he introduced me to Mike, his agent. And he's been my like convention godfather. But in terms of acting, you know, I have like support. Like Paul Reiser is a great friend, support of mine, but I wouldn't say I like look to him for advice. The director on this show that I'm about to go shoot, he shot the pilot of Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, and we've become dear friends. Maybe he's kind of a mentor. I call him when I have questions. His name's Richard Shepard. Yeah, it's a great question.
So what, going back to the beginning of your career, if you can talk to Jane at the beginning of your career, what would you warn her about? And what would you tell her to relax about and just be excited for?
Yikes. Well, the thing I would warn her about is like...
all the blood rain.
Well, no, more like, we don't have to get into this, but like, you know, navigating patriarchal systems where like women are treated like assholes if they're direct or if they stand up for themselves, or, you know, I would try to like give her some tools to like slip past some of that bullshit. What else would I say? Well, I guess I would encourage her, if there was even the tiniest bit of curiosity about the role, just do it. Like, there was so much like pretentious guidance that was like, you know, careers are built off of no's, but like, fuck that. I think that if you are like at all like tickled or turned on by something, just do it. Like, you're not gonna regret it because it wasn't perfect. Like, being too precious, I think, is a pitfall that didn't serve me and is not really my like vibe.
So do you feel like you're maybe a more trust the process person and not like attach yourself to the outcome so much? Like enjoy the experience?
I feel like I've always been good at that, but there's no nepo in my baby. That's like the cheesiest thing I've ever said. There's no nepotism. I didn't have like anyone to look up to in terms of like my mom or my dad or like my friend's mom, my mom's friend. Like, I just navigated Hollywood at such a young age that I guess I wish I had more of a mentor, like you were saying, instead of just people that like, mind you, I had great agents, managers. I'm not trying to vilify anything, but like I do wish I had more. I do wish in retrospect I had like a guide that was interested in me as a person and an artist and not just as a product or like, yeah. Not that it was that.
No, I get what you're saying. So do you feel like when people meet you in the industry, do they treat you differently based on the products, the projects that they know you from? Like if you meet someone that knows you from Zoe, do they treat you differently than Evil Dead?
It's a good question. I tend to not really like. I don't have a good answer for that. You don't pay attention to that. Not really. Maybe that's not a good thing, but I don't. It's not really like on my mind when I'm meeting people.
Yeah, it's probably something you don't even notice. That's good though. That's good because then it might get in your head if you did notice it.
Sure.
I'm so sorry that you might notice it now that I brought it up. Let's just pretend I didn't ask that question. All right, we only have a couple minutes left. So if you were thinking about asking a question, but you haven't worked up the nerve yet, now's your chance.
I can't even see you, so if you're nervous,
just
it's like
shapes
just like
in
a
the dark.
shadowy figure. So don't worry.
We got
you ask me a
something
stupid
coming to the
question,
mic.
I won't recognize you.
You had mentioned the Evil Dead being like a lengthy production. I was just curious about like how many days do you think you all did in general? How long was the production block? Was it one main block? Were there like a lot of reshoots?
There were no reshoots. All the Evil Dead movies shoot in New Zealand because that's where Rob Tappert, the producer, is. So I don't think that they wanted to fly everyone back out for reshoots. But it was a 75 or 77 day shoot, which is a lot. Especially these days. I have not been on a movie that comes close to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Anybody else? These legs, man.
I know. Remember when I had you're just shadowy figures, just a voice.
Oh, shadowy figures in the darkness. No, that's okay. What do you want to share with us, Jane?
I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you for being fans of Evil Dead, Don't Breathe, Zoe's, anything else, horror in general. I'll be here until, Sunday, like 1 o'clock. I think I have to go to the airport to go to New York, but come say hi at my booth, and thank you.
And I have one last question for you. Do you have any memorable fan encounters at one of these conventions that stuck with you and kind of touched your heart?
They've all been so great. Like, people have asked me, has anyone spooked you? There was one man who did pay for a selfie, but what he wanted was for me to slap him in the face. And I said, no, thank you. You can have your money back.
The lawyers.
I'm not into violence. But that, other than that, it's been like such wonderful people, and it's so cool to be able to meet fans face to face and not just on the internet. And I love everyone, but I have found there to be some really touching correspondence with my Zoe's fans.
Yeah.
Not picking favorites.
Not picking favorites. Listen, they're Zoe's fans and they're also Evil Dead fans. Because I suspect
cool.
they're
What a great
Jane
crossover.
fans.
Love that.
We love both.
Thank you.
Exactly. All right, if no one has any more questions, I think we're out of time. Thank you so much, Jane, for joining us today. It's been absolutely wonderful.